Teenagers found a kitten then. Something terrible happened. When a group of teenagers stumbled upon a tiny, abandoned kitten, they never imagined the nightmare that would follow. What started as an innocent act of kindness quickly took a dark and unexpected turn. A tiny gray kitten was born and raised on the streets, where his days were spent playing with other stray kittens while his mother searched for food. Too young to understand the dangers around him, he wandered freely until one day he lost sight of his mother. Somehow, in the midst of play, he had strayed too far and now found himself lost. He roamed the familiar streets, searching desperately, but no matter how far he wandered, he couldn't find his way back home. As evening fell and hunger gnawed at his tiny body, the kitten wandered into a local dump, searching for anything to eat. He had grown accustomed to a life without food, warmth, and the constant threats of dogs, cars, and, most of all, people. That cold night, a group of teenagers happened to pass by. Hearing faint, pitiful squeaks, they followed the sound until they found him. The kitten, hopeful for kindness, stayed still, believing help had arrived. But it was a terrible mistake. He should have run. By the time he realized the danger, it was already too late. The slightly intoxicated teenagers snatched the kitten by the scruff, showing no hint of sympathy. To them, it was just a game, but for the tiny creature, it was pure torment. They began tossing the helpless, crying kitten back and forth, his fragile body colliding painfully against them before crashing to the ground. As he whimpered in distress, the boys laughed, recording it all on their phones, oblivious to the suffering they were inflicting. When he stopped squeaking, already losing consciousness, they threw the poor thing into a box of waste. After experiencing pain, the little one no longer felt his body. He lay like that for several hours and lost consciousness. The next morning, fortune smiled upon him. A girl was passing by, specifically looking for kittens, apparently a volunteer, and stumbled upon the gray, mutilated ball of fur. Who knew what awaited him ahead? A friendly woman took him home. She treated the little unfortunate when he quickly recovered and began to get used to the love and care of his owner. As soon as the kitten started to get better, the unimaginable began. It became clear that she was not a sweet lady at all. The girl put him in a cage and did not give him food or water for several days. This was just the beginning. The kitten naturally squeaked and cried, starving and dying of dehydration, sitting in his uncleaned cage, which began to eat away at the pads on his paws. She liked how the kitten squeaked, and she began recording these sounds on a microphone and playing them back slowly. She started to miss the monotonous squeaks, and to make the kitten squeak differently, she began to literally torture him. After being confined, he was subjected to a washing machine, where the little one was spun around multiple times like in a centrifuge. Then he was grabbed and thrown wherever just for fun. The last thing she thought of was to cut the already silent kitten. Most often, she injured his hind legs, and the kitten could not escape and simply screamed desperately. The neighbors couldn't help but react. They came to her to find out what was happening. The kitten, at that time, was just lying in another room and couldn't even squeak. The neighbors decided that the kitten had already been taken and calmed down. The girl, feeling that she was suspected of something, decided to throw the kitten into the basement. There, no one would hear or find him. She tossed the already insensate little one into a box and threw him into the basement. He couldn't walk. She had mutilated his little paws. He could only lie in the cold, dark basement and think about why he was being hurt so badly. Tears rolled from his little eyes. He wanted to be with his mother, who would love him and not let anyone hurt him. He lay there for a long time, already unconscious. Other kittens appeared there, and a kind-hearted woman began to feed them, but she didn't go deep into the basement. During one of those morning feedings, she did not find a single cat in its place, but heard them crying inside the basement. She followed the sound and saw an unimaginable picture. Several adult cats were mewing near the little kitten. His paws were already rotting, deep cuts adorned them, and it could be said that he was no longer there. But the cats were mewing insistently, and she decided to check. Incredible. The little one was still breathing, but was literally on the brink of life and death. She took him and rushed him to the hospital. The doctors were horrified. They needed to operate or euthanize him. The doctor insisted that it was necessary to put him to sleep. The chance of recovery for such a little one with such injuries was 1 in 100. The woman, despite this, could not abandon him. It was impossible for her to feel pity for the little kitten who had not yet had the chance to live but had already experienced so much horror. She gave her savings and he was operated on. After the operation, she took him home. The woman and her family took care of the kitten for a long time and helped him recover, and soon he began to get better. A few months later, the little one, as his savior named him, moved around the house quite nimbly. Now, he was in a truly loving family. He grew and was already healthy. A few years later, they moved to a new apartment and brought along the mother, who was already quite elderly, 86 years old. Early in the morning, she decided to prepare breakfast. She no longer felt the smells and could hear poorly. At night, there was a gas leak. Everyone was soundly asleep, and only the little one woke up along with the grandmother. He sensed the smell of gas. Desperate to stop her, the cat darted frantically in front of the grandmother, trying with all his might to get her attention. But she didn't notice. Realizing it wasn't enough, he sprinted into the bedroom, leaped onto the bed, and began pawing at his owners with urgency. Jolted awake, they were initially annoyed. But as soon as they caught the unmistakable scent of gas, their frustration turned to alarm. Without hesitation, the cat bolted toward the kitchen, leading them straight to the danger. The people quickly realized the imminent danger. The grandmother was just moments away from lighting the gas stove, a spark that could trigger a devastating explosion. In an instant, not just their apartment, but the entire building could be reduced to rubble, endangering countless lives. Sensing the urgency, the cat clung to the grandmother's leg just as the children rushed forward, stopping her in the nick of time. The tiny kitten finally settled down, curling up peacefully on the old woman's lap. Meanwhile, the rooms were aired out and the gas service was called to ensure their safety. In an unexpected twist of fate, the very kitten they had rescued from certain death had now become their own savior. What an incredible story! If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please leave a comment below. See you in the next video.